Life is short and chasing people is so tiring. So here is why and how I stopped chasing people. One, you deserve mutual energy. Real connections do not need to be connected by force. They connect by flow. It kind of works that way in science too. What I mean by this is that when you actually bond or connect with someone, you do not need to force yourself to like them. You don't need to force yourself to listen to them. They don't need to force themselves to like you, and they do not need to force themselves to understand you. You both should be able to do it with or without telling each other or having to force each other to do that. That is called flow. It's kind of like chemistry. You have to be able to do it without having to force the reaction. And it's kind of like this in friendships or in any kind of relationship too. You do not need to force somebody to like you, because you will learn the hard way that nobody is going to like you. Not everybody is gonna like you the way your best friend does or the way that your relationship or your partner does. Nobody's gonna like you that way, okay? Not everybody is. I'm not saying nobody is. I did, but I didn't mean it. I meant not everyone is going to like you that way. And if you do connect or bond with somebody, the longer the bond is, the harder it is to break. But you should not have to force anything in any kind of friendship or relationship, because that does not mean it works out. If you're having to force it over and over and over again, that means that it's not really a real connection, because you deserve mutual connections. Both of you connect, not just you. 2, chasing makes you forget your worth. You're the prize too. I mean, come on. Chasing is like having to run for something and not even being able to catch it enough in time. Chasing people is exhausting and absolutely so draining. If you have to force someone or chase someone just enough for them to like you or just enough for them to appreciate what you've done, then that is not a real connection, and that is not good for you or for them either ways. Chasing people is the worst thing you can do. It slowly drains your mental health. It actually, matter of fact, makes you seem like a worse person. Chasing people doesn't mean always begging or always literally chasing them for everything that they do. It can mean that for little things. If you always say yes to whatever they want to do, and instead of saying no when you want to say no, that is another sign of chasing somebody, because you're letting their choices take over your real emotion or what you actually want to do. So if you want to say no, because that means to set boundaries. People who say yes more often don't have as much as boundaries as people who say no, and that is called self-control. Having self-control is not an easy thing in this generation. For people who can break trust and break loyalty so easily, it's hard to find someone who can control themselves, whether or what they do. So if you don't want to say yes, then don't. 3, you start losing yourself. You shouldn't have to change yourself for them. If you want to change yourself, if you want to look better, if you want to be a better person, do it for you, because nobody is going to care but you. Have you ever heard of that saying, the biggest enemy is going to be you? Nobody cares as much as your looks as you. Well, how I'm going to say this is in many of my photos, I realize that people don't even think I look as bad as I think I look bad. People don't notice that much unless you can shock them. So you're losing yourself because you want to change for them, because you want to be nicer to them, because you want them to like you more. You shouldn't have to beg for attention. That is not attention. That's possession. They're possessing you. They're taking away your mental health and what you can actually do, rather than them being nice to you and changing who you can actually be. A good friend teaches you and supports you. Bad friends just determine that you can do whatever you want and that you will listen to them no matter what happens. A friendship shouldn't be controlled. It shouldn't be forced. It should go the way it is. And changing yourself and losing yourself during the process of a friendship, that's not a friendship. That's just something that's going to drain you slowly over and over and over. And how you can get out of it is by saying no or by stopping listening to them. The more that they tempt you to do something, the more that you're going to do it every time that you say yes. The more times you say no, the more you get used to it and the more self-control you can accomplish. 4, it pushes people away. Sometimes the more you chase someone, the more they don't like you. People don't like to be chased. It's like playing a game of tag. You don't like to be the person who is getting chased by. You want to be the person chasing sometimes. But in other cases like this, if you're chasing someone, it can actually push them away. It kind of just looks like you want a lot of attention from them, which, I mean, come on, who doesn't want attention? I think almost anybody does. But sometimes pushing them too far or giving them way too much attention, it can seem a bit abrupt, it can be rude, and it can just look like you're begging. And begging does not look pretty. It doesn't look nice. It doesn't look good in any sort of way. It makes you look desperate. And looking desperate is one of the worst things you can ever look like. Looking desperate can make the person have second thoughts. This person is not worth my opinion. This person is not worth my time. They're wasting my time. They're desperate. They're not worth anything to me. The more that you act like you're chasing someone, or the more that you do tend to chase someone, that is what they think. That is what they are starting to infer about you. Because that way, it's the more you chase, the easier it is to break you. 5, it's emotionally draining. Checking a text, them back, checking to see whether they texted you back. Hello? That's literally so draining. Actually, matter of fact, the most draining activity you can do. Why are you going to waste this time on someone who doesn't give any single effort into your time or any appreciation into you? So why do you care so much about someone who doesn't care? I mean, I can't answer that question. Only you can. Maybe some type of connection. But why would you waste your time on someone who doesn't care? If someone does not care and you just keep going, it's gonna drain you eventually. And the more that you get drained, the easier it is to drain you over and over and over again. And that's the worst thing that anybody can do to someone. I mean, there's a lot more, but in mental cases, it can cause depression, it can make you a worse person, it can just make that person as bad as you too. Honestly, if you are chasing, waiting for them to text you back, spamming their phone, or waiting so that they can like you back, you are also chasing. Chasing doesn't have to be something chaotic. Chasing can also be waiting. You're waiting for them. You're waiting to see if they still like you. You're waiting to see if they're still wanting to talk to you. You're waiting to see if they're going to change. No one is going to care but you. And the more that you keep caring, the more you're going to get drained. 6, the right people don't need chasing. This is where I'm going to say one of the best solutions. You have to detach yourself from that person that you are chasing. Whoever you're chasing, you have to detach from them, because you're not going to get any further if all you're doing is chasing, waiting for them. You cannot do that anymore. This is about yourself now. The right people do not need to be chased. The right people do not need to they don't need to be forced. Right people do not have to be like forced connections. Nobody has to be a forced connection if they are the right people. People are all different, but if you're chasing and waiting for someone, it's gonna be draining and it's so exhausting. You're gonna look desperate, you're gonna look like you're begging, and most definitely you're not going to look like the better person in the situation. You're not. If you just let them go and detach, it is going to be so much easier for the both of you. They get relieved that no one's chasing them anymore, and you do not have to wait on somebody. You do not have to change for anybody. And you do not even need to have to wait for somebody at all, because who knows? Nobody's going to wait for you that long. You don't know that. Maybe they might, but you're not even sure. If they're not willing to do the same things you did for them, then that's not the right person that you found. So learn your lesson from that. Well, that's it for today, guys. I hope you guys learned that if you detach from someone, it's going to be so much easier than chasing them. But that's it for today. Bye, like and subscribe.